Pick your path. Ask over tell. Today, I want you to ask yourself the question: am I empowering others with questions, or am I trying to control the outcomes by telling? I like to joke that I love telling. And, you know, I'm a teller by nature, not just like a bank teller, although I did have that job when I was in college. But the reality is, every day we as leaders, we're faced with moments where we can ask or we can tell. One leads to ownership, while the other often leads to silence, or so often it leads to resistance. So I want you to think about it. When you're told what to do, how engaged are you? What about the opposite? Like, how do you feel when someone asks your thoughts, your opinion? In leadership, the path you pick, ask or tell, can determine whether your team shows up or they check out. So let's start with the tell mindset. So telling it's quick, it's clear, it's easy. I mean, after all, you likely know the answer. So you want to give it. You have a plan, so you want to communicate it. You see the problem, so you tell it or you give the solution to it. The challenge with telling is that those you lead they can become dependent. They can also become disengaged. They might stop thinking for themselves. And the reality is, some are even resentful of a leader's consistent telling because there's no opportunity being given to share thoughts or ideas or their own creative solutions to problems. And to make matters worse, you, the leader, me, the leader, we stay stuck in the center of everything. I want you to think about the last time a team member came to you with a problem. When you say, here's what you need to do next, yes, it's a fast fix. But what did your team member learn from that fast fix? You can be sure that they'll probably need you again tomorrow. And here's the reality: some leaders really like that. They want that. They crave that. And then they find themselves overwhelmed, frustrated, going off, being emotionally reactionary because they've created an environment in which they are needed. They don't have the time to be needed 24/7. Now, let's look at the ask approach. It's slower. I would say it's smarter. Asking takes more time upfront, yes, but it also builds stronger leaders. So when you ask, you're shifting the focus of your team members' thinking. Well, goodness, you're going to shift your own focus, your own focus of thinking, and you're shifting the focus of your team members' thinking. You're inviting ownership and creativity. Your questions also help to develop problem solvers instead of just task completers. So instead of saying, here's the solution, you could try asking the question, hey, what have you already considered? Or where have you already looked for the answer? Or what do you think is the next best step that you could take? And even if their answer isn't perfect, it is a launching point for their learning. I work with so many leaders that tell me that asking over telling is such a struggle. It is for me. I have to constantly be aware of it. So let's look at 3 ways we can shift from telling to asking. Number 1, be curious. Like, before giving a directive, ask at least one open-ended question, like, how do you see this playing out? Or what would you do if I weren't here? Ask great open-ended questions. Number 2, be silent. I know silence can be hard, right? Just like right then, you were wondering, is she going to say something? Listen, when your team member hesitates, resist the urge to fill that space with an answer. Be silent. Silence gives people space to think. One tip I would say is count in your head for at least 4 to 5 seconds before speaking. So choose to embrace silence. Number 3, be mindful of your default. What I mean is we tend to default typically as leaders to telling because we want to move it off our plate quickly. We want to check it off the list quickly. We want to be able to go to the next thing. But unless the situation is urgent, assume asking is your starting point. Use telling sparingly for safety, clarity, or clear policy only. Because here's the truth. Telling creates dependent team members. Asking creates leaders. Every time you choose to ask instead of telling, you're investing in someone's growth. You know what occurred to me? Often we hear that the measure of great leadership is how many people follow you. But what if the measure of great leadership is how much people grow because of you? So this week, I want you to pause before giving the answer. Choose to pick your path as a leader that asks over tell and watch your leadership multiply and your team have amplified growth. I'm Elizabeth Mahusay, executive business coach, corporate trainer, keynote speaker, and the author of the international best-selling book, Pick Your Path. And I look forward to hearing from you how you are choosing to ask over tell.